In this presentation, I'll cover customizing cabinets with the tools and libraries you can use to create a closet storage design. This closet rendering and drawing include all the accessories you can find in the Chief Architect catalog, in addition to the shelving, partition, and cabinet tools. Let's get started to create the back wall for this closet design, beginning with the full height cabinet. Underneath the cabinet tools is a full height cabinet. When I click and place the full height cabinet, it's going to be using the default settings that I've already established for this sample plan, and that's why the cabinet is configured this way. As I double click and open up this cabinet, on the general panel, I'm going to go ahead and set the width of this cabinet to be 42 inches, the height at 114, and the depth of the cabinet, I'll leave it at 24 inches. To configure the face items, I'll click on the upper face item. You can see that it's an auto left door. I'm going to come in, I'm going to change the height of that to be 24 inches. On the bottom face item, I'm going to go ahead and split that horizontally. I'm going to take the center face item that is currently highlighted. I'm going to change that to an opening, and then I'm going to set the item height at 57 inches. For the opening, you can see the default shelving. I'm going to come down on the shelves and click the specify option to configure it. In the opening for the shelves, I'm going to change it to manual and then adjust the number of shelves to be 1. Using the library, I'm going to browse out to find a closet rod style shelf, and I'm going to use the search term. We'll just type in closet pull, and then I'm going to go ahead and select the first result for a closet pull to insert into that opening. Now I can adjust this. I'm going to take the spacing from previous, and I'm going to go ahead and put that at 44 inches. You can see that leaves just over 5 inches at the top. On the bottom of the face item, I'm going to take that. I'm going to change the face item type to be a drawer. And then to create a bank of 3 drawers, I'm going to go ahead and split that horizontally. And I'll do it one more time. I'm going to take the upper drawer, let's set that to be 8 1/4 inches. I'll do the exact same thing for the middle drawer, set that to be 8 1/4 inches. And those are going to be pretty equal in most of the drawers. Before I close the dialog, let's go over to the doors and drawers. I'm going to turn it on to have glass doors. You see the upper doors change to glass, and then we'll go ahead and close that dialog. And now I'm going to slide this over, bump it up to the wall. Using the copy tool in the far bottom menu, I'm going to slide a copy of this over and bump it against the cabinet. To place a couple of closet rods and shelving to the left of the full height cabinets, I'm going to return back into the floor plan view. I'm going to go ahead and use the wall elevation tool, and I'm going to shoot a wall elevation and look directly at this wall. I'm going to begin with the partition tool. You'll find that underneath the cabinet tool. I'm going to click and place the partition. Let's go ahead and double click to open it up. I'm going to set the width, leave that at 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to set the height to be 99 inches, and on the depth, I'm going to change it to be 15 inches. Then I'm going to use the automatic elevation dimension tool to place the dimensions. I'm going to use the auto elevation dimensions. I'm going to position this partition exactly. I want to set this to be, as I click on it, move my mouse over the dimensions. I'm going to go ahead and set this to be 35 3/4 inches, so that's exactly positioned. To place the closet rods, I'm going to open up the library. I'm going to do a search for closet shelf. I'll go ahead and select the variation of this without the hangers. Go ahead and click and place this. And I'll probably go ahead and stretch that over until it bumps into the partition. Double click to open it up, and I'm going to set the first closet rod in here at 46 inches floor to top. You can define it from the finished floor or floor to bottom. I'm going to slide a copy of that up, and we'll just slide it up right into the area of the top of the partition. I want to make sure that these are both 15 inches, so I'm going to go ahead and select both of them. Use the open button. On the sizing panel, I'm going to come in and make sure the depth of those are at 15 inches. Next, I'm going to use the shelf tool. Again, it's underneath the cabinet tools. I'm going to come down, grab the shelf tool, click and place the shelf. I'm going to go ahead and double click, open this up. We'll set the shelf width to be at 36 inches, the depth at 15 inches. Again, you see the elevation from finished floor. I'm going to come in and set that at 48 inches floor to top. And I'm just going to simply bump that against the partition. And then to create a series of copies in here, I'm going to use the multiple copy tool. And I'm going to use the multiple copy interval. Let's go ahead and set that. You can see that I have it set at 12 3/4. That will give me exactly 12 inches in between, since that shelf is 3/4 of an inch. We'll go ahead and pull up a series of shelves in there. And then when I place the next wall cabinet, that will tie into the shelves. Let's next place a base cabinet. As I place the base cabinet, let me double click, open it up. I'm going to configure this cabinet on the general panel. We'll set the width of it to be 36, the height to be 33, and the depth to be 21 inches. On the face item configuration, as I click on the drawer, I'm going to change that to 5 1/4 inches. On the lower face item, I'm going to change that to be a drawer. And I want to insert a hamper in here. I'm going to actually have 2 sets of hampers. The easiest way to do it is to put the hamper in the first one. Then I'm going to split the drawer. These hampers are 15 inches wide. That way I can split the hamper drawer and I don't have to browse out to the library twice. While the drawer item is selected on the bottom, I'm going to come down. There is the option for the appliance door drawer specify. Toward the bottom of this dialog, you can come in and go to the pull-out. Currently there is nothing in this drawer box. I'm going to browse out to the library, and as I come down to the manufacturer catalog, I'm specifically going to use one of the manufacturers as I come down here, and I'm going to choose the Rev-A-Shelf catalog. There is a category specifically for closet. You can also come in if you want to type in the search and enter in the search criteria. It will bring it down. You can see that it's in the Rev-A-Shelf hamper, and I want to go ahead and select this hamper to insert into that drawer base. As we maybe show the drawer base open, let's go ahead and select the upper one so we can close that up so it's a little easier to see. So I'll change that % open to be 0. You can see as we rotate around, you can see that that hamper is inserted into there. I believe the specification for that is 15 inches wide. I'm going to take that face item and then I'm going to use the split vertical option, and you can see that it's now created 2 hampers and now fits the criteria for that particular cabinet. Now the next thing I'm going to do is let's go ahead and pull our dimensions over here. Let's click on the cabinet, set it to be 36 inches. You can see that it's kind of cutting off my drawers. So as I move back over into the floor plan, I'm just going to pull that section back so that we can see that. And then when back in the elevation view, make a copy of that. Let's go ahead and slide it over. And then I'll go ahead and bump it in. And then let's update our dimensions here. We'll slide that up. And one more dimension off to the side. To make room for a shoe shelf on the other side, I'm going to select both of these cabinets, come over to the dimension over here, and I'm going to zero that out. That will slide both of those cabinets over, and it also trimmed off the countertop overhang. You see the countertop overhang on this side. Once you bump it to another cabinet, that will trim it off. You can also explicitly trim that inside of the base cabinet dialog. Immediately above the base cabinet, I'm going to place a wall cabinet in here for storage. I'm going to put a tie rack in, and then off to the left-hand side we'll put in a shoe rack. When you use cabinets, you can insert fixtures into them. You can also place them free-floating. Currently I'm using, you see in my search, closet shelf. That's in the Accessories number 9 catalog. That's a bonus catalog. You can download that catalog from the 3D library. So I cancel out the search and you look at the manufacturer catalog. We've already looked at the Rev-A-Shelf. You can also download this catalog as well, and it has a specific category for closet as we put in the hampers in the lower base cabinets. Using the wall cabinet tool, let's go ahead and click and place a wall cabinet. Let's double click and open up the properties of this cabinet. On the general panel, let's go ahead and set the width of this cabinet to be 36 inches. The height at 81 inches, the depth at 15 inches, and then the floor to bottom, again, this is from finished floor. Let's go ahead and set that to be 33 inches. That way it will sit directly on top of the base cabinet. On the door and drawer, I'm going to mark that it has glass doors. And then on the face item, as I click on it, I'm going to split that horizontally. The upper one, I'm going to set it to be 24 inches. That will match the full height cabinet you see in the background over here. And then on the lower face item, I'm going to have one upper shelf at the top that's a flat shelf, and at the bottom I'm going to go ahead and put in a tie rack. While that face item is still highlighted, I'm going to come down into the shelf category, and manually I'm going to adjust that to be 2 shelves. And then for shelf number 2, I'm going to come into the drop down. For shelf number 2, let's browse out to the library. And I'm going to use a search. Let's go ahead and type in the search and see if we can get close to this. Underneath the manufacturer, Revel shelf for the closet. I'm going to come down and I'm going to grab this tie and pant rack, insert it in there. And while this is still highlighted for shelf number 2 in the drop down, spacing from previous, I'm going to set that to be something like 24 inches. And then for shelf number 1, I'm going to set the spacing to be 12 inches. Now you can see in the preview I've got equal spacing at the top, plenty of room at the bottom for pants or ties. And as we close that dialog up, let's go ahead and bump that against the shelving unit. And then the next wall cabinet that I place that off to the far right hand side over here. Let's double click open this one up. And on the general panel, let's set the width of this cabinet to be 48 inches, the height of it at 114, the depth of it at 15 inches. Make sure the floor to bottom will zero that out so it's sitting right on the finished floor. And then on the face item, I'm going to actually change that from a door to an opening. And then I'm going to split this. I want the upper half to have wire shelving, the lower half to have shoe shelving. To do that, I'm going to take this face item, I'm going to split it horizontally, maybe remove the separation that is in between the two. And now I can configure each of these openings. Let's begin at the top. I'm going to come in for the shelves, click specify. I'm going to change this to be 4 shelves. And then for the library, let's browse out. And I'm going to use the search term in here for wire hanging shelf. You can see where this is. It's actually in the bonus catalog. I'll expand this so it's easy to see. This is in our bonus catalog accessories number 9 closet. And I'm going to select that. You can control the spacing if you want to make the adjustment. I'm going to go ahead and accept it as is, equally spaced. And we'll repeat something pretty similar to that for the bottom opening. Come down on the shelving, change it to manual. I'll adjust the shelving to be 5 shelves. And then out into the library, I'll use the search term for shoe shelf. Let's see exactly where this is located underneath the accessories number 9 catalog. Go ahead and select that for the shoe shelf. Then I can close up the dialogs. You can see exactly the way that looks. Back into the 3D overview. As we scroll over here, take a look at the wire shelving. It looks like there's quite a gap between the wire shelves and the shoe shelf. I might go back in here, double click to open up the cabinet. On the upper opening, let's come back into the shelves. I'll just uncheck the equal shelving. And for shelf number 4 down here, let's switch that to shelf number 4. From previous, I'm going to change that to be 0 inches, so that pulls that down. You can see the adjustment. It gives us a little bit more room at the top. And then that snugs up this space in between the shoe shelf and the wire shelving. And that's how you can set up the organization for your closet cabinets and configurations. And that wraps up this presentation on custom cabinets and closet storage design.
If you have questions that you'd like to ask these live, you can raise your hand. You'll find that control in your GoToWebinar panel. I'm going to turn it over to Carrie and see if we have any questions we can answer.
Thanks, Scott. We have a question from Robin. Hi, Robin. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
Hey, Robin.
Okay, so here's my question for you. And this is the super simple, stupid one. This is the only reason I'm watching this today is this question.
Okay.
Because, like, you know, modifying cabinets and stuff, I'm like very fine with. placing all of those accessories is completely cumbersome. So if I want to put the shoes on the shoe shelf, or if I want to put ties on the tie rack, or if I want to hang shirts, it is laborious to try to get heights, depths. So when I'm trying to do a presentation for a client, it's like trying to if I look at this picture, it's amazing, but to go to do this is like hours of work to get things to accurately represent in space. Like the shirts landing on the shelf, it's like you have to go back between like your plan view and your elevation and try to get all of those things to work in the space. So I'm 100% asking about accessorizing a space.
Yeah, so that's a great question. And it's one thing to put in the cabinets and the shelves and partitions. And then, you know, just like you're going to, you know, showcase a house and you have it staged, this is the staging part, right?
Right.
And so, you know, I don't have the luxury of hiring a staging company. And what I end up doing to try to make the process a little bit speedier is I'll use the tool, and I'm sure you're aware of it, the Transform Replicate tool.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you're, I'll just switch over here and open up the program. Let me go in and open up this space live. So when I'm going to place some shoes in here, I've also colored them too, right? Because I don't want them all to be white or some similar color.
You did a great job on this. I'm impressed.
Thank you. So what I'll end up doing is I'll take the first set of shoes in here and place those and maybe even color them. And then to get some randomization, I may use the multiple copy. I'll know what the spacing is for the shelves, and then I'll use the multiple copy and transform and copy those up. And then I'll go in and maybe delete a set of shoes that are in here. You see the open space. And then I'll also then mix up some of the colors and use the material eyedropper and mix up some of those colors.
Yeah.
And typically I'm going to do that in an elevation view. This one's maybe a little more difficult because my shelf in this case is sloped. So sometimes it's a little more difficult, but when I run an elevation view, let's see if I can open up the wall elevation. I may have one that's a little bit bigger on the other side. Let's see if we have that open and open that up. So you can see that I have the elevation here, and then you can set your transform replicate. And if I use the tape measure, right, and we measure what the distance is between the shelf height, you know, it's showing up 13 3/8. So if I just take a set of these shoes over here, if I can get them, maybe I can, maybe I can't, there we go. And I'll just slide a copy over here. Then using that transform replicate, which is in my lower edit menu, right? And if I want to, you know, set the copy, you can do that. You can also use the multiple copy tool. So a couple ways to do that. And then you can set the interval of that. I think we said it was 13 3/8, right? And so you can use both of those tools and then come in here and pull your shoes up and have them set up and then use your material eyedropper and do it. And obviously if you have a bigger space, right, I have many shoes, then you can grab multiples of those, you know, just hold your shift key down, select all of those, use that multiple copy and pull it up there. Does that help a little bit?
So I guess do the shoes actually show up on an angle the way the shoe shelves are, or how did you do that so the shoe showed up on an angle?
Well, the first one I'm going to place, right, I'm going to probably place that in a opposite elevation view because these are already sloped, right? And if we go in here and let's just open up this camera, right? Well, let's take a back clip cross section. And we'll just cut it through a little bit. So the first time I'm going to place this shoe, right, I'm going to rotate it. Right?
Good enough.
So I've rotated it.
Yeah.
So that's
Good
kind of the key. Get your first one placed, and you may need to take a couple of different views so that you can orient it in the direction that you're after. Then you can use your multiple copy. So spend a little bit of time on your first one.
Okay, got it. Got it. That's easy enough. And then when you're trying to like put things on hangers, so like the hangers kind of just show up where the hangers show up. And then it's like, so if like you go to your hangers, like go to the hangers, so like they just kind of show up where they show up. So like I'm so impressed with this. It's like your hangers. Well, I see the ones to the right. They're a little bit high, but that's okay. I'm not judging.
Right. Don't look too closely here, because if you zoom right in, right, I flipped a couple around, right, because I probably inverted them. So
Yeah.
those are using some special levitation.
Yeah, those are the levitating dresses, but it gets the point across because it's really hard. So my problem traditionally has been just placing these, you know, trying to get these items placed to do stuff like that on like exactly what we're looking at.
Yeah, and I just use a combination of elevation views. I clearly wasn't as detailed on the dresses here, but if you zoom in and look at the shirts, hopefully they're a little cleaner. And I just, you know, in an elevation view, look at the dimension, and then when you open up these objects, you can also set it. You know, if you happen to know the elevation information, then you can set that floor to top, floor to bottom information. I find it easier just to do it in a couple of elevation views to get it spot on.
All right. I was hoping for something easier because this is normally what I do as well. And that was just it. It's like, oh, like I just can't seem to get this like without fiddling with it. So
yeah. We've heard the request to auto-populate accessories in the closet. I think we would do probably a bad job if we did an auto-populate, you know. Hey, AI, populate my closet for me, maybe.
Well, if it looked like this, I'd be fine. This is great. Let's auto-populate it so it looks like this. This is cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scott.
Have a great day. Thanks, Robin.
Scott, we had somebody write in a question asking, can you demonstrate how you'd make a schedule with the Rev-A-Shelf inserts included?
Okay, so let's take a look here. One of the things that, if I have an elevation, let's close. Okay, well, I've got this elevation here. So a few things that I typically will do, you see that I have some note callouts here. And if you've got something that's inserted into one of these cabinets, in the case of the Rev-A-Shelf question, I used a hamper. And we may want to show that in a specific schedule. Chief Architect includes a number of schedules underneath the tools, schedules, and you can come in and place the default schedules, cabinet schedule or custom schedule, which you can get your accessories that may be going into a cabinet. I typically will place my schedules in a CAD detail, and then I can manage those. So I slide over into my project browser, and I look at my CAD details, and I look at my closet schedule in particular for this closet. Let's go ahead and open this up. So this is just a clean workspace that is off to the side. And when I open this up, you can see that I currently don't have any of the Rev-A-Shelf information, right? So these are just cabinets. So if I wanted to add that information in my cabinet schedule or just create a custom one, let's start with this closet cabinet schedule. And if I come down and I look at accessories and inserts, so I'm on the general panel inside of my schedule, and I'm coming down to accessories and inserts. And let's maybe slide that over off to the end. So I'm going to add that accessories and inserts into my schedule. And so now at the end of my schedule, I have these accessories and inserts. And you can see all of the things that have been inserted into these cabinets. And as we kind of scroll down, this is my hamper cabinet right in here. And this is the part number of that Rev-A-Shelf hamper that was inserted into there. So that's a way to do it. You can also isolate it so it's just the accessories and turn off the other elements. So I hope that helps.
Thanks, Scott. We have Michelle Martell. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question, Michelle.
Hi, yeah, I am Michelle from Wisconsin. I do Revit, hi. Chief Architect, Premiere, X14 for myself and for other designers and builders. I was on a struggle bus trying to create a corner shoe carousel with the Revit shelf. That's where I got the word Revit from. The Revit shelf part, it's actually CLSZM596, and it wouldn't place properly. I was really struggling to get it in there to create a corner shoe carousel, and I needed to make them in a couple different ways. I didn't know if you had any trouble or any advice on how to get it correctly into the actual cabinet.
Okay, so let's take a look. Let's first open up the Revishelf catalog here. So let's go over to the right-hand side of my screen, and let's browse down into our manufacturers, come down to Revishelf. Michelle, where did you say you're calling from today?
Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. Let's make this a little bit bigger. And that's a shoe carousel, right?
Correct.
Shoe organizer. Okay,
Yep.
One of these guys?
Yep, the CLZ, correct, the M5 or whatever. Yeah, the W3 also works, but.
Right. So let's just place one freeform so we know what this guy looks like.
I think I was playing with an 85-inch ceiling, so I think I can only get one of those in.
Okay. So I probably placed the small one. So let's place a little bit bigger one here. So one of these guys, right?
Correct, and into a corner cabinet.
Into a corner cabinet, and you want it into a tall cabinet?
Correct.
Into a tall corner.
I would do probably the shoes on the bottom and then shelving up the top.
Yeah. And so are those, with your tall corner, is it a pie-shaped cabinet or an angle front cabinet?
Angle front.
Okay. Let's see if we can do something here. Let me just switch over into a random plan here, and I'm going to grab a tall cabinet. And it might be easier to force the corner by having a couple walls in here. There we go. And so let's grab a tall cabinet, and we'll place him into that area right there. And then let's see what we have and make sure we kind of organize this a little bit. So I might make the upper door just slightly a little bit smaller. So maybe make that 18 inches. And then on this bottom one, let's go back in and see if we can add this insert. Is this what you've been doing? As you click on the face item?
Yeah, and I made the face wider, you know, to have more access and boots.
Yeah.
And that.
And then you use the appliance door drawer specify?
Right, but it would place the element outside the front of the cabinet and not inside the cabinet.
Okay, well, let's see what happens. Could be the origin offset on that symbol could be off. So we'll try it and see what happens and see if we can solve it. So I clicked on the appliance door drawer specify. And what I'm going to do is, this is a door, and I don't know door hinges. And so the door back insert, if we click, let's see, insert, I'm not seeing the insert here. Adrian, do you happen to be on and can point me to the face item type that I might need to use for this particular object?
Scott, I think I would replace the shelf maybe for that one.
Okay. Okay. So let's try that. So let's go into the shelf and let's manually change that. And I'm going to just make it one shelf. We'll use one big one. Then let's come in to the library. At that point, then we can scroll down to Revishelf. And closet. Probably see if we can find 5 shelf, 3 shelf. We'll try the 5 shelf. We have a big one. Okay, I'm not sure about the sizing of this, but let's go ahead and see if we can get it positioned in there. And then let's open the doors.
Yeah, yours is inside. Mine was outside.
Now this is a giant cabinet, and
Yeah.
you can snuggle in there with it yourself.
Right.
So what I did in this case, Adrian pointed us to replace the shelves with that particular object.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
By the way, you can also freeform place these, right? So if I remove that, I'll just press undo. Let's open this back up, this door.
Yeah, I mean, I did the control,
Yeah, okay. Okay,
yeah,
so you
I
did that.
I did do that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think cabinet-wise, I think I have to contend with a 32-inch door to get it into the room.
Sure.
So, yeah, it was just a little bit of a battle, but it wasn't acting correctly. It wasn't landing in the cabinet, and it was driving me crazy.
Okay. So does that work for you, Michelle?
That does. Thank you.
Okay, great. So let's see what more questions out there, Carrie?
Yes, we've been getting 2 popular questions in the chat that maybe you could demonstrate. One is demonstrate how you created the glass section in your island. And the second question is, how do you add lighting inside the cabinets?
Okay, sure. So if I zoom in just to this question thing, you see my jewelry case in the center of the closet. This is using a custom countertop, and there are 2 pieces to this countertop since the inset is glass. So the first one's going to be a custom countertop. You're going to create a hole in it, and then you can draw another custom countertop in there. And the way that works, if we just switch back over into this simple design, let's maybe do this from a floor plan view. And I'm just going to place the cabinet. Let's make him a little bit bigger. And one of the ways that I like to maybe make a custom countertop is to do this with an existing cabinet, and you can simply click on it, and to convert the countertop to a custom countertop, so I don't have to figure out the overhang and that sort of thing, is in the lower edit menu is a generate custom countertop. Once I click that, you can see that it's now a separate object, and I can actually now use the hole tool. And so there's a create hole, and I'll just come in here and create a hole in here. And let's see what this looks like in 3D. So now I have a hole in that countertop, right? And I'm just going to use the countertop tool, draw another countertop in there, then I'll spray it to be glass. So as we go back into the floor plan view, it'll be a little easier to do it in that view. Let's go ahead and take this countertop, and I'm going to use the custom countertop tool. And I'm just going to kind of come in here, drag out another countertop, and let's see what that looks like in our floor plan view if I get the right camera. And so I have now 2 countertops. And now it's a matter of taking the glass and then spraying it on that particular component. So that's how I've created that particular jewelry style cabinet, just with 2 particular countertops.
Awesome,
okay,
thank
so
you.
then, yeah, and then the next question was, I think it was how to get lighting in the cabinet. Is that right? Was that right, Carrie?
Sorry, yes, that's correct. How do you get the lighting in the cabinets?
Yeah, let's open this guy up. So I've opened the doors on here, and I've actually done 2 things. I put an LED strip light and I put a couple of puck lights in here. So you'll find puck lights in the library, and then the electrical strip light is available through our toolbar. And when I'm working on electrical, right now I'm in a saved plan view. For those of you that are chief architect customers, you probably are familiar with saved plan views. I have one specifically for electrical, right? So when I switch that over to electrical and we zoom into that cabinet, you can see that I have my strip light right here, and you'll find a strip light for LED. It's called rope light. And you can click and drag to create a rope light. And then when you open up this rope light, there is elevation information. So right now, since I didn't draw this over a cabinet, the height off of the floor is at a 1/2 inch. So this is basically sitting on the floor. It's snapped to the floor. If you draw this over, I think, a wall cabinet, and it probably will attach possibly at the bottom of that at 54 inches, but it's pretty easy to take an elevation view and set that. Or you can type in the height of this specifically. If you search for a puck light, and let's just type in the word puck in the library, and we come in and let's just right click and do a show in folder, you'll find that underneath the core catalog, architectural, lighting, cabinet, there's a puck light. And there's 2 puck lights. One is made to shine the light down. The other one is an above cabinet, and that's meant to shine the light up. So if you have a couple wall cabinets that are short of the ceiling, this may be a nice way to use the puck lights. So then you can place those. A lot of times when I place those, let's just place the above cabinet one. I'll place these, and then I'm going to take an elevation view, and let's just cut a small elevation view through here. And that way I can use this elevation view to figure out where I'm going to place these puck lights, right? And let me just pull that down. There we go. So I can slide this puck light around and adjust it. Same thing with the strip light. You can adjust it. I have a light rail on there, so you might pull it up. You wouldn't be able to see it maybe if I did it there. But this is one of the easiest ways to do it. Then you can use your multiple copy tool, and that is one of the ways to get your electrical into your cabinets and display it. So hopefully that helps with the electrical and the custom countertop question.
Yep, thanks, Scott. Our next question is from Dan. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question, Dan.
Hey, Scott, thanks for everything you're doing today. What are your suggestions on working in corners, trying to design around a corner? We got a master closet that I'm getting ready to do, and it's a 11 foot by 11 foot, and we just want to be able to utilize the most space as possible.
Well, Dan, thanks for attending today. I am not I'm not a designer, so I only play one on webinars. I do a number of designs for myself, and I teach a little bit, but I'm not really a designer. One of the things that I have done with the space in this closet is we kind of rotate around. Let me delete those shoe shelves. And in the corner here, if you kind of slide in, you can see that I've kind of created the shelves that peek back in behind. I might help if I turn that on. So understanding how to create those spaces and utilize the most space, you can poke things back in the corner and figure out how to get the most out of it and use your creativity in doing that. But I don't necessarily claim to be, a pro closet designer, and I may not be the best person to answer that question.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, we had Kinsey write in, and she asked, could you demonstrate how to install a cabinet that is on an angle, for example, under a staircase?
Yeah, so I see those questions come through the webinar pre-submitted questions, and if you're looking for a cabinet that's going to follow the slope of a stairway, and you want it to maybe go up the stairway, I don't know if there's more context to that, Carrie, or not, if that's the desire.
Well, the full question is, can you demonstrate a cabinet that's angled under a staircase, for example, or has a slanted wall like an attic-shaped closet?
Mm-hmm. So the cabinets in Chief Architect, as I open this one up, there's a number of shapes that we can do, and if the scenario is you want it to follow the slope of a stairway or an attic wall slope, you won't be able to use the default cabinets in the program to do that. Now, with that said, if I were to draw a cabinet in underneath a stairway, and we just kind of switch back over, I'm probably going to do that with a 3D solid. And so if I just place a set of stairs out here, let me switch back over to my working view. And let's say that, pull this wall out so we have a little context. And let's say that I've got a set of stairs in here, and we take an elevation view. Right, so I want to have a cabinet that follows this slope in some way. I'm probably going to do that with a 3D solid. And let me pull that view back since it's cropping it off just a little bit. There we go. Okay. And so I'm going to just probably pull this down. Let's snug it up just a little bit, and then pull it up so that it's following that shape. And then use the hole tool, right? I can click on this, maybe generate a couple of holes in here, and then do a subtraction and create a custom cabinet this way. So just using the solid tools. So that's probably the best recommendation that I have for, for something like that that's going to be pretty uniquely shaped, is just to use a solid tool. You can put a custom countertop on there. You can place the doors, maybe draw your own door style. We have a video on that. And since you're going to have a trapezoid shape, and try to accomplish it in that fashion.
Thanks, Scott. And we had a follow-up question. Are 3D solids available in the Home Designer Pro product?
I believe the answer to that is they are available only in the Chief Architect product line, the 3D solid tool.
Okay. Our next question is from Bob. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question, Bob. All right, let's check in with Neyman. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi. I am Neyman Garg. I am an architect from here, Uvalde, Texas. I'm using Chief Architect Premier X14. I have come a long ways on designing closets and everything. I didn't do that for my clients, but what I have done is I have created my standard styles and put them in the library. The one thing that and I like to dimension everything out. So what you just showed me today, I didn't know that you can go in and put in the shelves in there, and you can have your rod and a shelf in that shelf kind of setup. Now, right. I just tried that. I just tried that when you were demonstrating that. My issue with that is that it's not picking up a dimension on that. I have to it's not picking up a point for my heights. So that is, I know there's a workaround, I can draw a line and do that. The way that I was thinking is that I would split that area up. Typically what I do is, for my double hangings, I do a 7-foot cabinet, split it in 2 parts. There is no bottom. And then, it's easier to pick those dividers or separations from which we created in the closet. So my question is, can I put just a rod in there like, not with a shelf, because I couldn't find just a rod in there.
So you only want to use a rod and pick that up, is that right, Niman?
Yeah, because I'm not going to dimension the rod. I'm just going to dimension the top of the shelf. The shelf above the rod. So I don't.
Right.
It doesn't really matter if it's high or low, which I know now that I can tweak that dimension within that. But I couldn't find that rod in the library.
So if you want a dimension to it and you only want a dimension to the rod, one of the things you could do is use the shelf tool and make it, maybe just a square shelf, so your rod's square. Now it could be round, but it's going to be easy if that shelf was just maybe square. If I delete, let me undo that. If I delete this rod and shelf in here, let's delete that. And let's say that I use the shelf tool and we come in here and we place the shelf, right? And we stretch it end to end so that it fills this space. Then I open this up, and let's say that the shelf is, we'll just make it easy, 2 by 2, right? So you see what I've done here.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it's not round, but it's going to be easy to dimension this now, right? And then in your 3D view, right, we could come in here, let's back out, and let's figure out where we just did that shelf, right? So I need to now pull that probably away from the wall a little bit. So just grab it, pull it out, and let's say that's where it's going to be. And then back in that elevation view, it's going to be pretty easy to dimension to that. And if you want to dimension it to the center of the rod, right, then you can get the center line. In fact, you could then maybe click on that extension and make it forcibly a center line, right?
Okay.
So that might be a quick way to do it. It's probably a little more difficult with using a 3D solid that's round if you wanted it to, exact. Does that seem to work for you?
Well, I only dimension to the top of the shelf. I do not dimension to the rod. So my question would be, can I make like a symbol, like a circle, and have those dynamics where, it stretches, it has those stretch parts, and then I can include this in a cabinet as a shelf?
Okay, so you want to put this inside of the cabinet.
Right. Because
like
and the reason for that. Right, correct. And the reason for that being because, like, when we are working with shelves, and if I have like multiple shelves, it becomes a task if I am making them wider or smaller, at 2 or 3 places. So once I have created my custom ideal and put that in the library, all I have to do at the end of the day is to work with the widths.
Sure. So you can easily convert something to a symbol, okay? And save it in your library. And so if you wanted to draw out your rod, I might do that with a polyline, a line, convert that into a, let's just convert that to a 3D molding polyline, right? Does that make sense? Okay.
Right.
Find the profile of a circle. So if we go into our moldings and I don't know, let's make it big so we can see it. Yes. And we go in and let's replace the profile as a circle. And now, of course, I'm not going to be able to find it quickly. So let's come down, molding profiles. I should probably find one. Oh, not chair rail.
I think in handrails there are some.
Perfect. Okay, so there's a round rail. And okay, 2.5 inches. So there we go, right? And then I think in 3D view, where'd we go? Where'd we draw this? Did I draw it in the other plan? Oh boy, I'm lost where I drew that. Oh, I turned the layer off. Let me switch my layers to all on. Okay, where did it go? Where did it go? Oh, it's probably on the other side of my wall. Okay, there it is. Okay, so you see my rod floating out in space there? Okay,
Right.
so I'm going to grab that and I'm going to use this tool called Convert to a Symbol.
Okay.
You see that okay?
Yes. Yes.
So I'm going to convert that to a symbol and we'll give it a name, you know, rod, and I'll probably put that in millwork. Does that sound right, Adrian? Millwork. Hardware, millwork.
Millwork, I think fixtures work too.
Okay, so we'll just put it in millwork. So add the library, we'll skip the advanced options. So here it is over in my library, right?
Right.
And then if we switch over, let's go back into our program that we had. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Let's open, that's okay. Let's open the doors up in here. And if I come into this space in here, and let's assume that we're on this bottom one, and I want to swap that shelf out with that, I should be able to come down here and for the shelves, manual 1, and let's go in and let's grab that library shelf of rod. And I may have to move that out. So there it is in the preview, right? Is that what you're after?
I think so. And if I change the widths on it, it will follow the widths of the cabinet.
Yeah, it should. Of course, I don't know what I did here exactly.
I think the Z-axis. I think it's rotated along the wrong Z-axis.
I'd have to open that symbol up and rotate it, right?
No worries. I'll work on it, but this is good enough for me. I'll try to play. Yeah, I'll try to play with it and see how it works. Okay. I think we need to rotate it along the Z-axis 90 degrees, and maybe it works better.
Yep. Otherwise, we got a pillow jammed in there.
No, I appreciate this, and thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
All right, Scott, our next question is from Tom. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, let's check in with Colleen. Hi, Colleen. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, I was wondering how you can slope the Revishelf shoe racks. I'm trying to follow along here and I can't get that angle.
Oh, are you talking about the shoe rack that I have right here that is sloped?
Yes, yes. How'd you do that?
Okay, well, I believe the shoe shelf that I used was out of our core library. But let's take a look. Let's switch back over. I got a lot of stuff open here. Let me just close a few things here. Yeah. So let's come around, and if we look at the shoe rack that I have in here, right? And we just open up this cabinet, and on the front sides and back on the opening area, and we come into shelves, and I go into the library. So the shoe shelf that I'm using, if we scroll up, is coming out of the accessories closet number 9.
Okay.
And that's where I got this particular shoe rack. So I didn't have to do anything special to slope it.
Okay.
In this case, because it was already sloped in the library. Now, does Revishelf have one? I guess I didn't look in this particular case, but if we scroll down to their catalog for Revishelf, and we go into closet, I would imagine they would. Would they? Yeah, well, they're going to have a lot. Let's scroll down. Yeah, so they have a sloped one as well. So there's nothing special that you would need to do since it's already sloped. Well, that one may not be sloped. Yeah. But what you could do, Adrian, you want to offer what you might do if you wanted to slope the Revishelf one?
Sure. What I would probably do is just place it independently in my plan view, so it's just a freestanding object, and then take a camera view. And if you select the side edge, you'll get a rotate handle, so you can just go ahead and do the rotation right there in your 3D view.
Okay. All right.
And then once you've done that, you can kind of convert it back to a symbol and insert it right into the cabinet. So you've kind of stored it as a rotated version of the shelf.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Okay, Carrie.
All right, we have Kareem here with a question. Hi, Kareem. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
Hello.
I'm calling from Antigua, the Caribbean.
Nice.
I'm using X15. I'm a little excited about the shelving, but I have one question about the hangers and the clothes. Could it be done using that same method of inserting hangers with, like a representation of a shirt or pants, and have the door on the cabinet, so it looks like the clothes is inside the cabinet.
Okay. So you want a
Get that done.
door on the front of this cabinet, so the
Yeah.
clothes. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like it's inside. So you have those dresses, but there's no door. So is it possible to put a door?
Okay. Well, I have a door here, but there's no hanger, right? So if we
Yeah.
wanted to put a door on here, I believe we should be able to open up this cabinet. And right now it's, this face item in here is an opening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I have shelves that are specified as a closet pull. Let's get back out of that. And if I change that to, let's say, an auto right door, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
Oh, okay.
Now I've
Oh,
got clear
nice.
glass on there. If I switch my view over to vector, you can see that, I've got pretty clear glass, but you can see that there it is. Is that what you're after?
Yeah. Quick question though. If I wanted to have like a symbol, with close, hold a second. Yeah, sorry about that. If I wanted to have like you have those dresses, but I wanted to create like a symbol of that, so I just insert it as a shelf. What would I need to save it as? A millwork, a fixture? What would I need to save it as to have it inserted?
Okay, so
So
your question about you just want to do the dress, right?
yeah, I want to have the clothes already on the hangers and just put it in there, so I don't have to go ahead and put the pole and then,
And then put the dresses in.
right. So I just want to have one thing, so I just put it in.
All right, yeah, good. That's a good one. I like that. So I believe, I don't know, let's try this. Adrian, do you think I can maybe grab these 3-4 things and convert those to a symbol, make them a shelf, and then insert them? Would that work?
Totally. I am not sure if it will work as a fixture type item or a furniture type item, but I do believe fixtures, hardware, and millwork types should be able to be inserted into a cabinet.
So what I've done here to see if we can accomplish that is I've selected all 3 things. So, sorry, 4 things, 3 dresses and the rod, right, and hangers. And then in the bottom menu here, the tool to convert selected to a symbol, and we'll just say my dress rod, right? We'll just use millwork for now. And then that shows up. I must have gotten more than that, apparently. Apparently I can't select that individually. It's coming in part of the closet. So I may have to go in and find a closet rod. There we go. I may have to place this independently. So let's do that. And then we'll grab a dress. Let's do this in a floor plan view so we can make this a little easier. There we go. Pull this out. We'll grab a dress, copy paste, rotate, slide it over, and then let's go back into the 3D view and just kind of make sure that it all squares up. And we'll just pull it up just a little bit. There we go. So let's do one dress for the argument of time. Maybe make this just a little bit wider. And then select the dress and the shelf and rod. Use the same tool. My dress rod 2. Okay, so then it shows up in my library, right? And so if we go back in, let's delete these dresses. And we go back into this cabinet. Let's see if we can select the opening where the current shelf and rod is. Hit specify, sorry for the shelves, specify. And then browse down into the library. And that should be in my library, so it should be at the bottom. And there we go. Let's see if this works. Yeah, it's okay. And spacing from previous, let's make sure that there we go. Looks like it crunched my dress a little bit because I need to set the height of it, right? What do I need to do here, Adrian? I need to make that wider.
So imagine that the total shelf height will be the distance from the bottom of the dress to the top of the hanger. So your spacing from the previous will probably be quite small, like 6 inches. And then you'll increase your thickness and height value. That 12 3/4 will be something like, I don't know, maybe 45. So, yep.
There we go. Let's try that. There we go. So there you go. Does that work, Kareem?
Yeah. So I guess I'd have to. No. I guess I'd have to play around with the size of the item.
Right. Yeah. And so, you know, completely accessorize your closet pole, right? Mm-hmm. I only did one dress, but completely accessorize your objects, and then you can make it a shelf and insert it in there. And that's a great way to save a bunch of time. I think we had a question from Robin about how to quickly accessorize it. This would be a good one, so you get a bonus.
Yeah. And just an added note, if you look up how to edit your stretch planes, that will help with preventing that dress from getting so thick instead.
Oh, okay. Oh,
that will help it not distort.
So after just the stretch planes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Symbols. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks.
Robin wrote in and was wondering if you could demonstrate how you added drawers to the inside of a cabinet. You have drawers inside of a cabinet with doors on it?
I do. Okay.
I think so.
somebody was watching. Okay. Let me open another plan. I may have had that in the questions random plan. So let's open this up and see what we have in this one. Okay, yeah. I think if you take a look at this cabinet, we open and close the door, right? And if you open the door back up, you see that I have drawers. And I'm assuming that, Robin, that may have been your question. So the question was written in actually as a pre-submitted question to the webinar. How do you put drawers behind a door? And there's a couple ways you can do it. One, you could basically have no shelves inside of this cabinet and manually place the drawer, which is what I have off to the side over here, right? Manually place the drawer. In this case, what I've done is I placed the door, or the drawer front, off to the side over here from the manufacturer, and I converted it to a symbol, and then inside of this cabinet, so it would fill it automatically, I used it as a shelf. So let's take a look. So let's go in here, and you look at the opening, and you come down into the shelves, specify, and you see that the library is using that particular drawer front, right? And so then you just set the spacing of it, and that's how that works. I had to change the origin offset of the symbol. I think we saw this when we had the question about, can you put a rod inside the cabinet from Namon, and I had to change the offset origin slightly so it would show up at the front of the cabinet, if that makes sense. So that's how that would work. So a couple ways you could do that.
I completely get it, Scott. Thank you. I have like custom pantry buildings that I do, and so it's like I usually do 2 sets of drawings. Like I have one that actually lives like in the kitchen, and then I do another drawing that I take the doors off and then I set everything in, so that way I could have like 2 different elevations for the contractor.
Yeah.
But this is so cool because, yeah, like, you know, and like showing scooped rollout trays and things like that, it's just always been a challenge to me to do the inside of things. And maybe that's a conversation for another day. But, you know, I did a training with you guys a couple of weeks ago, like a one-on-one training, and they're like, oh yeah, no, that's a really good way to do it. But it's like, gosh, it's like double the work. So
yeah. So I think I saw your name with Stephen Gross on your training, right?
Oh, Steve is the best.
Yeah. So I'm curious, you said you do 2 sets of drawings, right? One
Yeah,
with the doors on and one with the doors off.
That's correct.
Would it work if you turned the layer off and just sent that out to the layout?
So the problem is that I do a lot of, I live in New England, so I do a lot of inset cabinet design, which means like, and so that's why I was very curious about this. So like, if you look at the cabinet that you're showing next to that, like if I were to do like open a pantry, and like those actually need to be like 20 inches deep, right? Or, you know, with drawer glides and specifications for, because I do everything I do is custom cabinetry. So they have to be able to sit behind the face frame, and you're showing like a frameless application with like overlay doors. And so I need everything to kind of, because the doors on inset, it's very, very, very New England. We don't do we almost do no overlay construction here. Everything is like flush inset. So we have like, you know, 1.5 or 1.25 face frames, and then the built-ins behind them actually sit like, you know, behind that face frame. So they sit 3/4 of an inch back from the face frame because the doors kind of flush with everything. Right. So yeah, so inset and like, yeah. And so like, there you go. So it poses a challenge. Perfect. So if you added the doors on that, they would like sit flush inside of that. So I have to draw everything behind it. So usually I just draw things in elevations, because like your picture to the left, everything wants to sit like flush with that face frame. So I need to modify depths, and I need to like modify the offset so it sits behind where that door is.
Okay. Sounds like you're doing high-end work.
I do very high-end work. That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for your second question.
Yeah. So you didn't have an answer to it. Damn it.
What would you like to see?
Well, so how do you get it like back behind the face frame?
Well, in this case, let me turn the layer off for the doors, right?
Yep. So see, it's like flush.
Yeah. So what I've done here is I used the door, right? The drawer front, I converted it to a symbol.
Got
It's
it.
in my library. So in that case, if we come down to my library, where are you? My drawer. So here it is in my library as a converted symbol. And
Got
if
it.
you open this up,
Oh, because you could modify the depths of your shelves. Got
so
it.
I changed the offset. You see this offset value?
Yeah. Light bulb
And
just
we
went
go
off.
into the, where is it, the 3D. I changed my offset of that drawer to be 21
Awesome.
inches.
Got it. I'm right there. Like the light bulb just went off. I apologize. Thank you.
Yeah. So when I initially added it in there and I didn't do any of the offset, all of these drawer fronts, since the offset would have been probably 0, would have been completely at the back of the cabinet.
Right. Awesome. No, I'm good. I'm good now. Thank you. I just needed somebody to be like, kind of smack me and be like, oh, this is how you do it. It's all good. Thank you.
Okay. By the way, you only got one question left. So choose wisely. Thanks. Okay, Carrie, more questions?
Yes, we have Kathy here. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, Kathy.
I'm calling from Ontario, Canada, and I use X14. And I'd like to thank you for the answer to, I was having the same problem as someone previously that my inserts were placed outside my cabinets. So I've tried it, using it as replacing a shelf, and that solved my problem. That was wonderful. Thank you. So now my question is about pulls, hardware. And so, for instance, your 2 hampers that you have as drawers, so you have the horizontal pulls. If I'm trying to put a vertical pull on that so it's matching doors that are beside it, but it's a drawer, it seems to want to change it to be horizontal automatically on me. Or if I just use horizontal pull, then it puts it in the middle. It doesn't allow me to adjust to put it at the edges.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling in, Kathy. And so if I understand your question, the hardware in this case, let's say mine's centered and horizontal.
Correct.
You want to change it to be vertical?
Correct, yes. So it looks like 2 doors that would open.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Yep. But we don't, since this is a cabinet and it has a drawer above it, right?
Correct.
We don't want all of the drawer hardware to change, right?
Right. In my case, they were full height that I was dealing with, and I had doors beside it, and I wanted them all to match and look like doors.
Right. So the way you can do this is when we open up the cabinet, we can go into the face item itself, and then we can be very specific on hardware and door style or drawer style for each face item in the cabinet. Right? You want to see how that works?
Yes, please.
So if I open up this cabinet and I select, let's just do the face item on the left here. So with this drawer selected, I'm going to come over to the appliance door drawer specify. You see that okay?
Okay, yes.
Right. And so the key thing to this is that I have control over the drawer style and the door handle.
Okay.
So if I wanted to change this to, have the drawer style to be different, here's the horizontal, and it's using default, but if I said, maybe centered, or where is the rotate here? Let's just use the edit command here so I can rotate this. And I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees.
Okay, you can edit. Yeah.
Yeah. And so now, we'll leave the height and that stuff there. But now I've got to, figure out, well, I got to change the offset, right, of that. So I'm going to come down with the horizontal position and let's see, vertical position, distance from top. Let's maybe set that to be you know, maybe 6 inches, 8 inches, and then let's one handle. Where is my offset to
And that's
the?
where I was stuck, I think. I got
Yeah.
that far.
Adrian, where is my offset? Do you know for the? Oh, I don't know what I just did here. Let's go back in, edit 90. Do you know where my offset is for the horizontal position? Did she bail on me?
I'm looking.
I don't see the setting in here for that. Well, Kathy, it looks like so far you've stumped me. Let me research this and maybe just chat in your email address so I can track you down. And
Okay.
you know, I'm pretty sure you can do that. It's just not right in front of me here.
Mm-hmm.
Unless
Okay.
any other staff member, any customers that want to chat in the answer, let us know. We'll come back and relook at it. Anything else, Kathy?
That's good. Thank you. I will leave my email then. Thanks a
Okay.
lot.
Okay, good. Let me just make sure I make a note here. Okay, Carrie, more questions?
We have 2 more. We have Nyla here. Hi, Nyla. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, I'm Nyla. I'm from Newport Beach, California. So how I change my handles on hardware, I do it through, if you go back to your cabinet, I do it through the main menu. If you go down to door and drawer, okay, and then you look at your hinges. You can either a handle or hinge, like a handle, you can place it by in from the edge 3 or 4 inches or center or whatever. That's how I set my handles.
Okay. Okay. Let's see, we're on drawers here, so let's distance from top on handle. Yeah, I'm still not seeing that for the drawer itself.
I think if you on-click default and edit, I've been able to move like distance from the top. And so when you, I think it's more of a handle when you,
Yeah, I've got that setting for door handles, right? I've got distance from top right in here.
So try that because it's might be identifying it as a handle versus a drawer.
Yeah, I think in this case, I've got it set up as a drawer, and I don't have that access point to shift it. So I'm gonna have to do a little research, I think, further on that. So I can get back to Kathy, but I think that's a good point for the door handles. You can change the distance amount. I just don't have a good answer here on the drawer. But thanks. Yeah, thanks.
My 2 cents.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for your help.
That's a good one. Yep. Thank you.
Scott, we have, I apologize if I mispronounce your name. It's Tani or Tony?
Yeah. I thought you could click on it in elevation and drag it, the handle.
Boy, that'd be nice. I don't have refined control in an elevation view that I could click on that hardware. I actually have to go in through the cabinet dialog, but that would be a nice
I thought I did it that way. Okay.
Now, of course, you can freeform place the hardware. So at the end of the day, if you really need it done and the darn dialog or the program won't allow you to do it, just place the hardware freeform and then you can do exactly that. You can place that thing wherever you want, however you want. And I wouldn't spend much time looking at it, especially if you're a designer that's, you know, got a time commitment and got to get it done.
Do you want to take a couple more questions, Scott?
Why don't we do this? I'm going to stick around and take a few more questions, but let me just do a closure here. I know a lot of you probably have time commitments, and one of the things I want to point out, if I can open up a slide here, thank everybody for attending, is that we have a number of events coming up. Tomorrow, Cinco de Mayo, we have a boot camp. If you're newer to Chief Architect or would like to learn a little bit more, we do a residential boot camp. It's kind of set up to show you how the program works. We're doing the same thing a week from Friday, May 12th, and it's specifically for kitchens and baths. So these are free boot camps. They last just about an hour or so, and it's a great way to learn. Then on June 1st, should be a Thursday, we're going to be doing another live webinar, taking your questions, and that will be on a stair and railing project. You can kind of see the gist of that in the background. And then for those of you that would like to travel to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is where our headquarters is, we're doing a Chief Academy training event. So this is a 2-day training event, half-day focus seminar, a lot of evening and networking events. Going to meet our staff, our engineering team, sales and marketing team, and lots of other customers. That is just a really fun networking event. We take a lake cruise and a couple of receptions, fun event. So that's happening at the end of the summer. So mark your calendars for that and plan on attending. So with that, I'll let some of you go that need to get back to your other day work, and then we'll stick around here for a few more questions. And if you've got those and want to raise your hand, we'll take those live. If you do need to go and you still have a question, we didn't get to it, or we don't get to it here in a minute, email those in, sales@Chief Architect, and we'll try and get you an answer. So have a great day, and I'll turn it back over to Carrie for some more Q&A.
Thanks, Scott. We do have Roxanne here. Hi, Roxanne. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, Robin's back. Go ahead, Robin.
Scott, I'm not asking a question, so I'm answering a question, and
Perfect.
So that means the next time I get 2 questions.
Okay.
I'm in the bonus. Okay, so open up your, if you want to change your drawer hardware location, just open up your cabinet specification. Just click on that cabinet, open up the specification, click on that drawer face.
Yep.
That's the, okay, and then go to appliance door drawer specify.
Right.
And so when you're in that specification, it shows you your horizontal and your vertical position. So you could specify it. If you want to change it to horizontal, your style, you would go to library, if you, or whatever. One handle centered, the handle from edge, but distance from top. Like if, for example, you want it to be like 1 3/8 from the top, you just put the distance from top as 1 3/8. But this is where I locate my cabinet specifications, and I do this under my default settings before I start placing cabinets.
Right. Well, thanks for the information. We're still stuck, since this is a drawer, on how to move that freeform. And the only solution, because I don't see the dimension offset, I've got a distance from top, which is positioned accurately, but I can't slide that to one edge.
To slide, oh, got you. So you want to, okay, got you. So I would say, wouldn't it just be to the distance from, it would be the distance from edge, wouldn't it be?
It would be if it were a door.
Got it.
Right, because if I go into the cabinet door, that option, if I change this to a door temporarily, and you go in and you hit specify for the door, right? I've got distance from the top and distance from the edge.
Yep.
Yeah, but since it's a drawer, I don't have that same control. So I think the solution to this would just be place your hardware independently and remove the hardware altogether.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Because like normally, so I would specify that as a pull out. Not that I would put that on the edge because that would probably put a lot of pressure on one side, but like it's interesting that okay, good enough. I was wrong. So now I'm -1. I'm
yeah,
-1.
I think we're all stumped except place it freeform.
Yeah. All right. Cool beans.
Okay. But it kind of looks nice in the center. It's beefy.
It's beefy, right? Yeah.
Okay, Carrie.
It looks like you've been able to answer everyone's questions who had hands raised.
Okay, great. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today, and hopefully we will see you back here at one of our other events as I open up that slide. If you didn't get your question answered and you want to get an answer, send it into sales@chiefarchitect.com and we'll get you an answer, and then hopefully we'll see you back here at one of our events soon. Have a great day.